Hi everyone, Beth here. I've been a carnivore now for a little bit over 9 months. I started my carnivore journey back in February. My purpose for getting on carnivore was for healing. I have an autoimmune disorder called celiac disease. I was diagnosed with celiac disease when I was 48 years old, and I'm 61 now. So it was late in my life when I was actually diagnosed. All of the symptoms that I had related to my celiac disease had been persistent pretty much since the 7th grade, but no doctor had been able to put everything together and figure out what it was that was the root cause of all of my symptoms. And it turns out it was celiac disease. But going from 12 years old to 48 years old with a disease that is degenerative. My body was literally fighting against its own tissues, caused a lot of underlying problems that I've been having trouble getting rid of. So, all that to say, I went gluten-free when I was 48. That was 13 years ago. I went grain-free about 2 years ago, and I found that I had even better results grain-free. I went keto 1 year ago, and I went carnivore 9 months ago. And I will tell you the difference in my health and the way I feel just going from keto to carnivore was huge. It made the biggest difference. The pain in my joints has gone away. I sleep better. I feel better. My skin is better. My digestion is better. Everything is better being a carnivore. And so I say that to you because I don't know why you're watching this video or why any of the carnivore videos are coming up in your YouTube feed, but my son introduced me to this via a YouTube video. So if you are just beginning to explore the carnivore lifestyle, I want to give you some simple ways to make it easy for yourself. It is a very simple diet. You eat animal products. You avoid plant products and anything artificial. It's so simple, and yet it's not always easy. It is a lifestyle choice that can present challenges to you in the future. But I do believe with all my heart that if you just stay prepared and think ahead, you will never have trouble finding something to eat. So today I'm going to share with you my top 10 carnivore foods that I keep on hand at all times. And I hope you enjoy. So the number one carnivore food that I keep on hand at all times is eggs. And I actually right now am in a strange place where you can see I'm not even really picky about my eggs, except that I do like to try to find free range or pasture raised or cage free at least. I do like organic, and I do tend to buy them in a 18 pack when possible, or even a 24 pack if I go to Costco. Also, I mentioned in another one of my videos that I always keep a stash of hard-boiled eggs ready to go in the refrigerator. This is the perfect little package for carrying a snack. If you need to go to work or you're going to sports, like I play tennis, and sometimes I'll take a hard-boiled egg with me to the tennis courts. That way I know that if I get hungry while I'm out, and I don't. You will find once you're on carnivore, you don't get hungry for a meal every 4 hours like you used to. I can make it a lot longer than I used to be able to go without eating a meal. But if you do need a meal, one of these is great to have around. Eggs are perfect in all of their forms. You can scramble them, you can fry them, you can do them over easy. You can hard boil them. You can use them to make frittatas or quiches or egg wraps. You can use the yolk just to dip your meat in, and it's really, really yummy that way. So you want to eat the entire egg. You do not worry about the yolk. You do not worry about the cholesterol. All of that is a hoax. Cholesterol was never bad for us. Whatever we don't get through our food, our body's going to make it anyway. and it's necessary for you to have to make your own hormones. So don't worry about the yolk. Eat the whole egg and eat it however you want it. I currently am a little bit egg poor, don't know why, but whenever I go to the store, I always grab some more eggs because I never want to be caught without them. So the second food on my list of 10 foods to keep on hand at home at all times is bacon. We eat a lot of bacon, and I have bacon here, several different brands. Again, whenever I go to the store, I will grab bacon. Sometimes I'll come home from Costco. My husband is like, "Why'd you get more bacon? We had bacon." I know, but it's only going to last a couple days. So actually, earlier this week, I made refrigerator bacon. I took an entire one of these 22-ounce packs of Smithfield bacon. This was on sale at my Winn-Dixie this week. And I cooked it. I pre-cooked it, and I had seen something on Facebook in one of the groups where somebody was cooking the bacon in little spirals, and I was able to fit that entire 22-ounce pack of bacon on my baking sheet and put it in the oven and made an entire 22 ounces of refrigerator bacon. So that's what is in here. Keep that bacon on hand. It's really good for adding to any of your meals. It's good by itself, but just putting it alongside a steak or with a hamburger, just about anything. I like wrapping it around a pork tenderloin. It just makes everything extra good. And if you're having trouble getting enough fat in your diet, the bacon is a great way to add back in some fat. You really need to try to keep that fat content around 70 to 80% of your total calories. And sometimes if you're eating like chicken breasts and chicken thighs, some leaner meats like pork tenderloin, you're not going to be getting enough fat. So consider adding bacon to your daily shopping list. Included in that, I would like to throw pork belly, which is just bacon that has not been processed. And this is really fatty and yummy. And what I like to do with this is cut it up into chunks and stick it in the air fryer. And it makes a nice little side dish to your meal as well. Now, sausage is generally, to me, not as clean, but I have found a particular sausage that I like. This one's frozen. But this Smithfield premium sausage that's all natural, it does not have any added MSG or maltodextrin. It does have some spices, and there's a tad bit of sugar in here, but there's still 0 grams of carbohydrate. So you may, just for variety, as well as bacon, want to keep a little bit of sausage around as well. So the third carnivore food that I want to mention to keep around at all times is butter. I like to get the grass-fed butter from Costco. I usually will buy this, several of these boxes at a time, and I believe there's 4 pounds of butter in each one. And then I keep my butter on the counter at room temperature in one of these little crocks. I love this little crock. You may have noticed that this is my favorite color. It's scattered all over my kitchen, but I do love this aqua blue color. So we keep butter around at all times, as well as ghee. Now, ghee is clarified butter. It is butter that has had all of the dairy parts taken out of it, and it is pure oil. So this is a ghee that I got at Costco several months ago, and then most recently, since this is almost gone, I picked this up at Costco. So now they have their own brand of ghee, and it does say it's organic ghee. So I like that. I haven't tried this brand yet, but we certainly went through this entire 56-ounce jar of ghee in the last 9 months. So keep the butter around. I add it to my coffee. I put it on top of my steaks. I mix it with gorgonzola to use on steaks. We use it to cook in. We more often use the ghee to cook in because the dairy products have been removed out of it. so it has a lower smoking point than butter. It doesn't turn brown. And I also, one time, I have seen people on YouTube create butter bites. So basically just taking butter, putting it in a pan and stirring it until its little bits turn brown, its dairy parts turn brown, and then pouring it either into a mold, or I just poured it onto a pan and put it in the freezer, broke it up into pieces, and that made a great little snack. And I found that if I ate a little butter bite before going to bed at night, it really helped me sleep a little bit better, because that extra fat is going to help you stay satiated during the night. So butter is my third thing that I recommend you keep around at all times. Now, in addition to butter, you're going to need some other fats. So just wanted to mention here that this is my collection of bacon fat. Anytime we cook bacon, I pour off the fat, I strain it to get the little porky bits out of it, and I keep bacon fat. We also use that for cooking. And in addition to that, whenever we buy whole ribeyes at Costco, I bring it home and we cut off a little bit of the fat off the ribeye, and I have made my own homemade tallow. And I like this tallow. I can just break it up in little bits, whatever size I need, and throw that in a pan and use tallow. And also, by the way, tallow is really good for your skin. So I have actually purchased some tallow products that I'm now using on my skin instead of traditional, conventional, commercial skin products. So number 3 thing to keep on hand is butter and ghee. So the fourth carnivore food that I keep around at all times is ground beef. Ground beef can be used so many different ways. It's one of the most versatile ways you can eat meat, and I love it, and we use a lot of it. So one of the things I usually do is buy the ground beef at Costco, the little 3-pack of 1 1/3 pounds, so it's 4 pounds that are in 3 different packs, the organic ground beef at Costco. And I love that beef. It's 88.12 though, and it's not very fatty. I also will grab it whenever I find it on sale. Like this was at the Winn-Dixie, it was on sale. I also like to grab a Wagyu beef every once in a while. It just tastes a little bit different than regular ground beef, and it's really good and yummy. It has a higher fat content. The last time I was at Costco, instead of getting the little individual 3-pack of ground beef, I got the big 6-pound thing of ground beef, and we brought it home and we broke it up into smaller pieces. So we took that 6-pound ground beef and we put it in little individual Ziploc bags, each one of these being about 1 pound. So we have now 6 of these, well, not anymore because we've used a few, in the freezer. So keep that in the freezer. And then also, I was recently at Winn-Dixie and they had their big thing of ground beef on special. So I grabbed a couple of those. And then that time when I brought it home, I went ahead and took the time and created ground beef patties. And I went ahead and patted them out into little individual 1/4 pound patties and put them in a bag like this. So now this can come out, this can thaw just like it is, and these ground beef patties are ready to just go either on the grill or into the frying pan. So ground beef is definitely something that you want to keep around. Remember also, you can break it up into small pieces and use it with eggs. You can make little taco bowls if you can tolerate some spices. I like a taco bowl with some homemade taco seasoning and ground beef and some cheese and sour cream on top of it. There's just endless things. You can make meatloaves, you can make meatballs. There's just so many different ways that you can eat ground beef. And I find it to be very satisfying. It's one of those foods that I personally could eat every day on the carnivore diet. So the 5th carnivore food that I recommend keeping around at all times is steak. We eat steak probably 3 times a week at least. What I like to do is go to Costco and get a big roast, either a ribeye roast or beef tenderloin, and bring it home. And my husband BJ will chop it up into little individual steaks for us. And then we take those and we individually wrap them. Usually there's 2 to a bag, but we individually wrap them, put a date on them and stick them in the freezer. I do want to get one of those Food Saver vacuum sealers. I used to have one of those and it broke and I just haven't replaced it. So that is definitely on my wish list for Santa this year. Anytime I go to the grocery store and I see steak on sale, I grab it. So these New York strips were on sale at Winn-Dixie, so I grabbed them. That's 2 New York strips for $17.39. Not a bad deal. We've figured out these come to about $17 a piece when we cut them up that way, so that's about average. And then also, I love beef tenderloin. It's my favorite cut of steak, but it's not very fatty. So that's another thing you might want to use your bacon on, is to wrap your beef tenderloin in the bacon. But this week at Winn-Dixie, they had the beef tenderloin on sale. Y'all, get this piece of beef was $87.97. And I got it for $44.01. So brought it home, stuck it straight in the freezer. We'll pull this out at Thanksgiving or Christmas and make this beef tenderloin roast for a special meal down the road, maybe when the whole family is coming over. So my number 5 thing that I recommend you definitely keep around is the steak of your choice. I prefer ribeyes. I'll occasionally eat a New York strip, and we do like to enjoy a filet mignon or a beef tenderloin steak every once in a while as well. So you choose your steaks, maybe keep a variety of them around, but always have them so that you never are short on things to cook. So the 6th carnivore food that I like to keep around at all times is chicken thighs. I like a chicken thigh better than a chicken breast because I find it to be a lot more tender and it does have more fat. If you want to get these are boneless, skinless, they're okay, but it's even better for carnivore because we want to eat the fat. It's even better if you do chicken thighs that still have the skin on and the bone in. If it still has skin on, bone in, I find that it's really good for grilling or baking. The ones that are the boneless, skinless ones, we use these a lot for doing things like BJ's famous chicken parmesan, and also my carnivore fried chicken that I do. And both of those involve coating the chicken with a pork panko crust on the outside. So boneless, skinless chicken thighs are our favorite poultry that we keep around at all times. So the 7th food that I keep around at all times, the 7th carnivore food that I keep around at all times, is salmon. I like to get the wild caught salmon. They have this in the frozen section at Costco. Also at Costco, you can find the whole salmon and you can bring that home and cut it up. But the problem with that is that whole one has been previously frozen and then thawed. So you don't want to bring that has been frozen and then thawed back home and then freeze it again. So I have kind of stopped buying those unless I know I can eat it in the next couple of days. I did bring a few home and froze them and have stuck them in there, and I will pull these out. In fact, these need to probably stay out because they've been in there since July. But now, most of the time, I'll go ahead and buy the salmon already frozen. Now, if you have a local fishmonger that you like, support that local business and go get your salmon directly from them. That's also a great option. So the 8th carnivore food that we like to keep around at all times is shrimp. Shrimp is such a great thing to make in a hurry. If you ever are like, oh my gosh, we didn't thaw anything for dinner, you can take the shrimp out, pour them in a colander, run a little warm water over them, and they are ready to cook in just a few minutes. So also you can buy the shrimp that are already pre-cooked. You can get them peeled, you can get them not peeled, you can get them raw, you can get them not raw. There's just so many different ways that you can buy shrimp. I do like to try to find wild caught shrimp versus farmed shrimp. I do find that they are tastier, and not only that, but they are healthier for you. What I love about a shrimp is that I've said in the past, one of the things I like to do whenever choosing my carnivore meals, whenever I'm planning, I like to plan a meal that involves a meat with a side of meat and dairy as a condiment. So shrimp is a great side to go with any meat. It goes great with your burgers, it goes great with sausage, it goes great with steaks, it goes great with salmon. You can pair the shrimp with almost anything else, and I could literally eat shrimp every night. I wouldn't mind that. I've always been a big shrimp lover. I grew up on the coast, on the East Coast, Virginia and Maryland. We ate a lot of shrimp and crab when I was growing up. So I've been very blessed to have plenty of shrimp. And now I live in Alabama, and y'all may not know, but the Gulf Coast, the Gulf of Mexico, the coast has some of the best shrimp in the world. So whenever you're down at the coast, Alabama, Florida Panhandle, be sure and grab some shrimp while you're there. So the ninth carnivore food that we keep around at all times is pork rinds. We keep usually some just regular pork rinds, and these are very clean for a pork rind. Now you can buy pork rinds at the store that have a whole bunch of additives on them, the ones that are flavored. A lot of the other ones that I've looked at, they have maltodextrin in them. They might somehow, for some reason, it's literally pork fat. Why do they add seed oils? I can't know. But this one's relatively clean. It's fried pork skin, salt, and natural smoke flavor. So I like to find this brand when I can. In addition to the pork rinds, the whole ones that I like to use, I also like to keep around some pork rind crumbs. Now these can be used anytime you would use a bread crumb, for instance, in a meatball or on a fried chicken or a chicken parmesan. Anytime you would or meatloaf, anytime you would normally use a breadcrumb, you can use the pork rind crumbs, and it makes it really yummy and it kind of binds it together. Now, I did learn something recently. Our grocery store also has these Max Original, same brand as these, but they're cracklins. And I did not know the difference in a pork rind and a pork cracklin. I thought they were all the same. The pork cracklins have the fat from the outside of the pork, which is what the rind is just the fat. The cracklins have the skin attached. So I have come to find that I do not like the cracklins very much. They are too crunchy. They actually kind of hurt my teeth. So I don't eat the cracklins, but what I think I might do with these is actually stick them in my Vitamix, the dry pitcher of my Vitamix, and get that thing going, and maybe I will create some of these out of these. So one of the good things about a pork rind is what a lot of people miss on a carnivore diet is crunch. There's not a lot that we eat that has a good crunch to it. So the pork rinds can help you get that little bit of crunch in your diet. I like to put some tuna fish on them or egg salad on them. I like to break them up and put them in my soups and use them kind of like a wonton or a cracker. I do like them just to put a little bit of cheese sauce sometimes if they bring home queso from the Mexican food. I can't eat the tortilla chips, and I haven't been eating tortilla chips for a long time. I haven't been able to eat the grain, but I do like queso on a pork rind. So pork rinds can be a very valuable thing to have around if you're a carnivore. The number 10 carnivore food that we like to keep around is cheese. And while I'm talking about cheese, I'm going to go ahead and lump some other dairy in there with it. But I ran my list of top 10 carnivore foods that we keep on hand by my husband. He kind of looks at carnivore from the outside, and he said, no, cheese needs to be your number 10. So he's right. He's right. Everything I have listed so far has been meat or meat products, but cheese does come from an animal and it is very low in carbohydrates, so it is allowed on a carnivore diet. So we keep several different kinds of cheese around. Gorgonzola is one of the ones we probably use the most. We do mix the gorgonzola with the butter and put it on our steaks almost every time. So I buy the big thing of gorgonzola at Costco, and it's already moldy, so it keeps for a long time in the refrigerator. So that's good on the steaks. It's good to make some dipping sauce if you're going to do like a blue cheese sauce to dip the chicken tenders in or something like that. So we keep the gorgonzola around. We keep the goat cheese around. I like to take the goat cheese and just put it on top of the meat sometimes and just let it melt. It gives the meat a nice flavor. Cream cheese is very useful. Mozzarella is very useful. And then just some slicing cheese, some raw cheddar or regular cheddar. It doesn't have to be raw, but either for slicing or for grating up and using as a grated cheese. Also, I tend to keep a few of these around. I grab a big bag of these every once in a while at Costco, and these are great along with the hard-boiled eggs and the bacon to throw in your purse and take with you when you leave the house. So I keep these around, and my grandkids love them. If your grandkids say, I like the red cheese, this is what they're talking about. So besides the cheese, the other dairy that I find worth mentioning is cottage cheese, which I kind of put in a different category from regular cheese. I like to just sit down and eat cottage cheese. In fact, cottage cheese is a slippery slope for me and a lot of other people because it would not be hard to sit down and finish this container of cottage cheese. So use it with caution. Some people use a good amount of whipping cream. Some people put whipping cream in their coffee and then they use it to make other sauces. And I do like to make some whipped cream every once in a while. If I'm going to eat some berries, which is rare, maybe once or twice a month will I have a few berries. And if the family is coming over and I've made a dessert for them, I like to make my own whipping cream. So I keep that around. It also is good for making a dressing or a dipping sauce for the gorgonzola. And then the last thing that you might want to keep around is a little bit of sour cream. Sour cream obviously is good on the taco bowl. I've made sauces with it, like beef stroganoff, and that's really good too. So that is my number 10 thing. Cheese specifically, and other dairy that is not cheese. I would not recommend necessarily keeping around a lot of milk, and if you do buy milk, I would recommend buying the grass-fed milk or milk from grass-fed cows, and even trying to find raw milk, but stay away from the fake milks. I used to drink a lot of almond milk, and I realize now that that was not helping me at all. Those almonds. Corey says almonds are a good way to kill yourself. If you're going to drink milk, I would suggest you drink cow's milk or goat's milk or real milk from real animals. Those are my top 10 things. I am going to give you a bonus number 11. It was what I had as number 10 until I told BJ my list, and he said, no, you need to include cheese. So stay tuned 1 more minute for my number 11 bonus carnivore food we keep around. So the number 11 carnivore food that we like to keep around is one that you need to go down the aisles for. For carnivore, you can pretty much stay on the perimeter of the grocery store except for the pork rinds and the beef sticks. So I do like beef jerky, but most of the beef jerkies that you find in the stores are, they're not very clean. They've got a lot of sugar added to them. They have MSG, a lot of different spices. But these Country Archer beef sticks, the number 1 ingredient is grass-fed beef. And there is 0 sugar in these. So people frequently ask, what do I snack on? And my typical answer, which is very true, is I don't find need for snacks very often. But these will stick in your purse. These will stick in your briefcase and they can go with you. So when traveling, if I'm getting on an airplane, if I'm going on a cruise, if I'm in the car for a long time, I like to throw a few of these in. And I usually keep a couple in my glove box. I'm not sure how long they stay good in the glove box. But I like to keep a couple in the car, a couple in my tennis bag, just in case. You never know. But these are quite tasty. I think I find them better than the chomps. I like the chomps too, but I find the Country Archer is a little bit more tender, not quite as chewy as the chomps. I think the coating that's on the outside is a little bit softer on these than it is on the chomps. So that's my number 11. So I hope that you got something out of this. If you are a beginner looking at starting carnivore, I think that if you just go to the store and pick up these top 10, maybe 11 items and keep them in your house, you will never be without something to eat. You can always rustle up some dinner or some lunch with what you have here. You will find that this actually is not any more expensive than the diet that you were following before. It's definitely less expensive than buying vegetables, than buying processed foods, than buying sodas. I think we were probably spending at least 1/3 more when we were eating keto, and probably we were spending twice as much when we were on the standard American diet and eating a whole lot of processed foods. So if you just keep to the basics, look for the sales when you can, buy things in bulk when you can, and freeze them, I think that you will have a very easy time of following this carnivore plan. And the most important thing about this plan is that you will find yourself looking and feeling healthier almost immediately. The inflammation will go down so quickly, and any sacrifice that you feel like you might be giving up at first, you will find it's totally worth it when you start feeling amazing. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. I would love to be able to come into your YouTube feed again in the future. Have a great day.